Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall. Welcome back, Sky and Adam, for another edition of our 2025 NFL Deep Dives. We are going through every division in August, so make sure you catch our videos on any of the divisions we've done so far. We also are breaking them down into individual teams as well. So if you are a particular sport or a particular team, make sure you go check them out on our YouTube page, and we are across all podcast platforms as well. We have been very, very heavily AFC friendly of recent. So now it's about time to go to the NFC. It's about time we go there. And we're going to the painfulest of NFCs, it feels like. And that is the NFC South.
That's the end of the friendly chat, isn't it?
Hey, two of the teams are exciting, which you can't say about the AFC South. So I think NFC South's not as bad. 2.5 of the teams even.
2.5. Yeah, 2.5. There was one particular player on one of the teams that isn't that great, but I'm very, very interested in seeing this year. We look at the record from last year for the division. Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously topping the division 10-7. They were the only ones who went through to the playoffs. You had the Atlanta Falcons at 8-9, and the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints both on 5-12. We are going to begin our evening going to Tampa Bay. We are going to the Bucs. They've been pretty busy, not got any sort of crazy moves going on. They re-signed Bryce Hall, the cornerback. They brought in Hassan Reddick. They brought in who else did they bring in? Not that many. Anthony Walker. Most of it's just re-signing, really, pretty much. They did lose Robert Hainsey, Joe Tryon, Mike Edwards, KJ Britt. And then their draft was one of the more fun ones. They took Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver at Ohio State, in the first round, the 19th pick. They took the cornerback Benjamin Morrison in the second from Notre Dame. Oh, see, I knew it and didn't even have to read it. I knew it and I didn't even have to read it. I can remember.
That's a good pick.
It is a good pick. Tez Johnson, Oregon guy, going in the 7th round. Sky, you know about Tez. We'll start off with the old Bucs. I'm going to have to admit something on this podcast that it's going to annoy me because I know you're going to love it, Sky. I'm finally getting round to thinking Baker's pretty all right.
I told you. It's the only reason I'm still allowed on the podcast. It was the one take I got right.
Well, tell us why it's going all right for the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield then, Sky.
I think you can say for this entire division, if defense wins championships, the teams in this division don't have a shot. However, out of all of them, with the higher powered offense that the Buccaneers have, they have a chance to probably beat on their day any team. I think classically, I don't know why I say classically. I was just thinking about last year, how nobody wanted to play them. No one wanted to play against the Bucs last year. Baker had a phenomenal season. And I think, like you said, Fred, people need to remember this is going to be his 8th straight season with a new offensive coordinator, but that's not fazed him at all. Buccaneers offense finished top 4 in rushing and passing yards. I know Chris Godwin's coming off of that bad injury, but obviously Mike Evans broke Jerry Rice's record. Egbuka, as you mentioned, good addition. Tez Johnson. People also sleeping on Jalen McMillan. He was really good at the back end of last year, emerged in that offense. And I just think that, I actually think they probably have like the best receiving core in terms of talent. They're loaded. Probably needed, it's good that they got the run game going a bit more. But I just wanted to, with the Bucs, I think the thing that they addressed, which is good, was getting Benjamin Morrison. I don't know why, for me, the one thing that stands out for me in the combine is that he's 6 foot and ran a 4.39. If I'm playing Madden, I'll be sitting there at 3 a.m. eating my crunchy, being like, this is the pick. He can lock guys down vertically, and he's got the length to play the press coverage. So I think the Bucs are in a good position to. They've been consistent division winners since from 2021 to 24, so they could win it again.
Surely, if you're playing Madden at 3 o'clock in the morning, eating a crunchy, you need to be evaluating what the hell you're doing with your life, don't you? Rather than worrying about Benjamin Morrison.
All evaluation.
I did think crunchy was a very unusual go-to for that late at night. I mean,
a bit of honeycomb to keep you going through 7 rounds.
Desperately need that sugar rush before you go to bed.
But you brush your teeth with a power drill. Get it out before you go to bed.
Adam seems to agree though about Morrison. There was a nod.
it was the injury concerns, right? But he got a little bit injured at the end of last year, and that was what people were concerned with, weren't they?
Yeah, that was why he fell to the second round. But yeah, I think they've got a steal. They did so well with their first 4 picks actually. I think David Walker's a decent shout for them at linebacker as well. But yeah, Egbuka, Benjamin Morrison, Jacob Parrish. Cornerback was a bit of a issue for them last year. That's where they struggled. It was against stopping the pass. Everywhere else, they were pretty elite in most metrics. They were sort of top 10. But stopping the pass was a real issue, and especially at cornerback. So bringing in Benjamin Morrison, Jacob Parrish, I think is going to help a lot. And yeah, they're a very good team. I'm not 100% sold on the whole. They've got the best receiving core in the league. I don't. I mean, are you talking as a whole? Like,
I should say deep because they've also got Trey Palmer. I mean, as in like in terms of like talent going down and guys who can be subbed in.
Yeah, okay. They do have a lot of depth, so I will.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
You know how you did. You know how, but you are disagreeing before you even said anything because your eyebrows do a little movement. That we both look at and we can tell you're going like, well, he's an idiot.
What, me?
No, that's what Adam's
that's what I tell
you.
No, Adam knew what. Yeah, sorry, I should have deepest. Like in terms of like Adam.
Yeah,
I have to agree. I completely agree with that. When you were saying the names, I was like, you've not said Trey Palmer, and he was really good last season as well. And like, it's funny that they draft Emeka Egbuka, and you go, well, feasibly he's third or maybe second, pending injuries, but depending on all the other guys, he could easily go down to like fifth. Like,
yeah.
They've still got Sterling Shepard in their locker, which I know he's not really done anything, but he was an all right utility guy at times. See, he's done it again. The eyebrows, he did it again.
Well, if you're going to mention Sterling Shepard as a
giant legend,
they will go up. What can I say?
Looking at this roster, for me, man, these guys are going to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
But they're going to concede a lot of points as well. Their defense, it's not what it was when it was that dominant one that won the Super Bowl. Like that was, it was such good defense, and some of their guys, the better guys, have got over the hill now. Levante David being one of them, I think. But Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey in that middle are just space eaters, man. They are so good. But Hassan Reddick, is he going to be the same guy that he was maybe 2 years ago? I don't know. Their linebacking core is pretty weak in Yaya Diaby, and Levante David, and then I like Antoine Winfield. I really think he's one of the top safeties, but it's also looking at people like Zion McCollum, Jamel Dean, getting him back to his best. They also drafted, like I said, Jacob Parrish. Benjamin Morrison's come in. It's an interesting defense that. For me, it just feels like there's going to be points on this defense, but they're going to get me. We've said this in a few podcasts, and I know Colin Cowherd's big on this. They'll get me to a telly because they're going to be fun to watch on offense for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm assuming what the logic is they've kind of decided we were pretty good at stopping the run last year. We're going to continue to do that, and we're just going to hope that our rookies can be amazing at corner, and that's kind of the thought process behind that defense, and just hope that it works. I think you're right. I think it's a team that's going to score a lot of points and a team that may end up conceding quite a few, but I feel like their offense will be strong enough in order to get them through a lot of games, and I think it would be a surprise if they didn't win this division.
Oh, I'd be shocked personally.
Yeah,
really, really shocked. They are such a fun team to watch, and we've said it in a couple of podcasts now where these quarterbacks don't always hit day one. They don't always hit day one. They can take some time, and Sky alluded to it. 8 years in the league that Baker has been in, and it feels like a blink. It makes me definitely feel very old now after 8 years. But it just doesn't always work for the right. He's been what? He was at the Browns. He went to the Panthers. He went to the Rams. Found himself on the Bucs after he impressed in the Rams when he played once or twice covering for injuries. And then he just fits into this system. It's going to be interesting not having Liam Cohen there anymore, the offensive coordinator. He's now gone over to Jacksonville. So maybe there might be a little bit of a step back. I don't know who they've got in. In fact, the website I was on will tell me what coordinator they got in, unless you two are quick enough.
They've got Josh Grizzard in, who was the pass game coordinator last year.
Look at this guy reading
So
his
he's just
own
been
articles.
promoted, basically.
So good.
Look at this
So
guy
basically-
reading his own articles he wrote a week ago. Oh, look at this guy. That's one read.
It's a long, long read.
Take your MVP, Fred. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, how much money you got?
Yeah, quite. What do you think regarding? Because obviously they got into the playoffs, they got knocked out pretty quickly, and it does feel like that they're not, you know, of the caliber to beat the Eagles. They're not of the caliber to go up against the Lions or some of the other teams. I mean, realistically, although I'm guessing we all kind of feel that they're going to win this division relatively comfortably. Do we actually think that they've got any chance of being able to push on, or what they should be getting to?
I think they should have beaten Washington. That game was a few silly turnovers. It was Washington that I think beat them by a field goal.
Yeah.
And it would have been interesting to see what they would have done later on.
But what about this season?
Well, I mean, Fred, I think they've improved. I'll let Fred say, but I just think that, yeah, potentially, because they haven't got any worse.
I think teams will go to the Super Bowl. They have X factors on both sides of the ball. I think health's a big question for them as well. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are X factors. They are. If Baker can play to the level he's at, we know he can play to, he's getting into that conversation of being an X factor guy. I feel Bucky Irvin, it'll be a really interesting season for him. He's got that X factor potential. And then on the other side of the ball, I go Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, and then that's about it, really. You know, like they've not got loads on that. It's very Rams-esque, like the Rams of like where I think the Rams now have got some real talent on that offense and have really clinged together. And they've got one or two X factors on their defense for carrying, but they need to do a little bit more. They're still quite young, whereas the Bucs are in the same situation but older. And I don't know if age and experience is enough when you need a couple of them guys who just deliver on every level, on every occasion. And I think they're just two men, like probably one guy short on the defense, maybe. I mean, it sounds silly. It wouldn't have been a stupid new move for them to go after someone like Jalen Ramsey, honestly. Just like an X factor with experience to be in their cornerback room, to teach some of the new guys, and then they'd have two guys in that middle of the defensive line, and then someone who's very dependable in that in the backfield. And like I said, I like Winfield. I think he's blown hot and cold last year a little bit, but yeah, I'm excited by their offense. I would have to say I think you'll see probably about 4 or 5 games in what this team's about, won't you?
I get ready, guys.
Oh gosh.
I went to bed before we did our AFC West preview, and I don't know if I was asleep or I was just in an inception. I was thinking Buccaneers Broncos Super Bowl. Get your money on it.
Why?
Not going to happen, obviously. Why? Because I want to see Bo Nix versus Baker Mayfield for 4 quarters.
Okay.
So Adam, yeah, they could.
If silence was ever loud, that was that moment.
They could, because it happened to you in a dream. Is that what we're saying?
I kind of don't know what state it was. Like I do often go to sleep and think about how good Baker Mayfield is and how right I am about how he turned his career around. But yeah, in this particular moment, I thought, well, maybe if their defense just needs to force turnovers. I do get Fred's point about them aging. I don't think it's when look, it's obviously a lot for a rookie corner to come in and start blanketing one side of the field. But I mean, Sauce Gardner did it. So if Benjamin Morrison could
Benjamin Morrison, no Sauce Gardner, bro. Come on.
You never know.
Come on.
You never know.
What are we talking about here? What are we doing here? Denver Bucs Super Bowl. Ben Morrison. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Well, it was an inception dream that he had, so what can we say?
It sounded like it was needed to be a dream, but needed contraception, not inception. He was making a terrible baby of a Super Bowl.
Very,
Terrible baby.
Would you not watch that Super Bowl? Sorry, no, go on.
I tongue twisted that.
Hang on a minute. We watch all the Super Bowls, so it doesn't really mean much what we say, does it?
Next up on the agenda is the Atlanta Falcons. You know how we said in our last episode we recorded, I can't remember what team it was, where I went out to snapshot it twice to see how many people they got in. The Falcons have done the exact same thing. They have gone to town this offseason. A lot of it is re-signings, admittedly. Leonard Floyd's come in, Divine Diablo, they re-signed Mike Hughes. They re-signed D. Alford. They brought in Felipe Franks. So funny to see him. This is tight end when he was a quarterback coming out of the draft. So funny. So yeah, did a bit on that side. They also lost Jordan Fuller, DJ Shark, Caleb Johnson, Ronnie Harrison. No, they didn't lose them. They brought them in. I do apologize. They lost Grady Jarrett, Drew Dolman, Rondell Moore, Richie Grant, Lorenzo Carter, Eddie Goldman, a lot of older guys there. And then in the draft, we all said they needed to improve that pass rush. And they drafted Jalen Walker at the 15 pick from Georgia. They then traded back up to get the Tennessee defensive end James Pierce. They only had 2, 4, 5 picks in the draft in the end. They took Xavier Watts, the safety from Notre Dame in the 3rd round. Wasn't their trade the one where didn't the Giants trade like a couple of picks after, and the Giants had a really good trade, and they gave up the farm for James Pierce, and it was like, what a joke of a trade that was for who they trade with? The Ravens? The Rams. And they gave them the farm for James Pierce.
They gave him the 26th first, didn't they? So yeah, next year's first, and then wasn't it like some pick swaps or something? I think it was that they gave up a first, and then didn't the Giants give up a 3rd with?
It was ridiculous.
Someone like for the next pick.
Adam, we did the edge rusher show. Obviously you watched more college, but we're high on both. I mean, I know people say they gave up a lot, but I like both picks.
It depends what you want. I mean, I'd argue they only got one edge rusher, so
yeah, fair.
Jalen Walker was more of a linebacker.
Yeah,
right?
linebacker.
Yeah, he's more of a sort of a Micah Parsons type hybrid sort of. And James Pierce isn't exactly the biggest edge rusher either. It's a strange one. They needed edge rushers, and they went and got themselves one that's not an edge rusher and one that is probably the smallest of all the edge rushers they could have got. So it felt a little odd. And as you say, they gave up the first for James Pierce as well. I don't have a problem with them taking James Pierce. I think he's going to be a very good edge rusher. To give up a first just seems mental. And then they didn't have many picks, so they then went out and got themselves 2 safeties, which felt. I mean, yeah, you could argue they had a bit of a weak spot there. And they got rid of Justin Simmons, so they needed to bring in a couple. Xavier Watts, I think they're both actually very good players. It just seems a bit odd to go and get yourself 2 edge rushers, 2 safeties. Is a bit weird. But yeah, I don't think they're that far away from being a playoff team anyway. They just they're just not. I don't know what it is about the Falcons. They're like, it doesn't take much for them to become a playoff team, but they're not really a serious threat when it comes to anything after that. And so it's just a bit of an odd team. They're not quite. I don't know. It's not quite there at the moment for them.
Because you look at their offense, the offensive side. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, who's probably one of the best backup running backs in the league at the minute. Carl Pitts, who's just really not been the guy that he was at Florida at all. He's really not warranted. What was he, the 4th pick in the end or the 3rd pick in that draft?
Something like that, yeah.
And of course, Michael Penix, who they drafted after getting in Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is going to be backing up Michael Penix this year. What can we expect from him, Sky? Do you think? Because he played 3 games at the back end of last year.
I think we're all excited to see him because of his arm talent and the weapons that are around him. I think the Falcons found out pretty early that Achilles injury that Cousins had, he just, couldn't step into his throws as much and wasn't maximizing that offense. So yeah, like even guys like Ray McLeod are on that roster, like guys who can make an impact. Our mate on special teams, Jamal Agnew, that we met, Fred, at the he's around. DJ. I know DJ Shark, I think, is on the roster as well. Like there's some decent depth guys.
I would go as far as to say that's the first time we met each other.
Probably, yeah. And spoke to him about how his thing. I can't remember it now, but he's got something in Canton, longest special team return or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And he was quite pleased that you said that.
Yeah. He was like, "But who's this Australian with all the knowledge?" But no, I think I'm excited for Penix because of his arm talent, and I think I don't know, I can be a nostalgia merchant. You guys know this, but when I see a Falcons quarterback with arm talent, it makes me think of Michael Vick and what he did in the early noughties. So it would be nice if Penix could, sort of be that next thing for the Falcons. Because I mean, I know they had some good times with Matt Ryan, but it was very traditional offense style. And I think this is going back. And with the, like you said, B. John Robinson, we all know he's great, but I think he's due like an insane season. I'm not going to say 2,000 yards.
Penix isn't exactly a runner.
No, he's not, but he's got the arm talent.
Yeah, but you coming out saying you want to see him like Michael Vick.
Yeah, but throwing like 70-yard deep bombs.
Okay, right.
Not
I mean, I'm just saying, it's like he's a very, he kind of is quite the traditional quarterback.
Yeah.
Like he's like more Matt Ryan than Michael Vick. Right?
Yeah, it's like a mold.
Okay.
Well, have I imagined that he's a lefty?
Yes, he is. He is, isn't he? Penix? I'm sure he is.
I'm pretty sure. That's what I was thinking simple mind. When you think of the great lefties, Tim Tebow, Michael Vick, Steve Young, and now Michael Penix Jr.
What, in that order? 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I think this team, I don't think their head coach is the guy. I don't think he's the.
He didn't live up to my hype in my own head. Yeah,
I have to say, I think you are right there, because if they have another season like they did last season, I think he could be gone. We were talking in another show about who's on the hot seat. If it doesn't start well, this one could be one of them.
And what I worry is that Penix is he's not got that much NFL under his belt.
No.
Yeah, he's not. He's getting plugged into play in what should be a very high power offense, but you need to be a high power offense quarterback to do that, and you need to learn that pretty quickly, And I'm not sure. Yes, Kirk Cousins can teach you some fundamentals, but he has not exactly been the high power offense guy in his career. So they have very, very different styles, and they're going to play in very different ways. It is unfortunate that he's 25, right? He was an old rookie.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's a fairly old rookie, isn't he? Coming out of, don't tell me, Washington. Yeah,
you got to look at the video of that, because Adam mouthed it without saying it, and then you went Washington.
That's because
it was very good.
Okay.
It was very nice.
He gave it away for the viewers of the video. He's just helping people out. That's fine.
Nice division to be in, though, Fred, when you're a learning quarterback, because again, like I said, none of these teams have a legit defense. So, I mean, the Falcons are even apparently switching to a 3-4 because they know they need to stop the pass attacks, because they know that's basically how they're all going to try and beat each other. So yeah, when you're Penix, he's probably he's not in the AFC North, is he? Where no one wants, well, other than the Bengals, but you know what I mean. No one getting at. It's a sort of a nicer division to be in as a younger quarterback.
For sure it is. Moving on to talk about a quarterback that I went to Germany and I fell in love with good old Bryce Young.
Caught eyes from across the street.
Yeah, well, the worrying thing was I was about 4 foot taller than him, really, and I'm only 6 foot. So I don't say much, is it? The Carolina Panthers, they had an active offseason bringing in Trayvon Merrick. They brought back Brady Christensen, brought in Rico Dowdle. They brought in Chris Barnes. They did lose Xavier Woods, Lonnie Johnson, Ian Thomas, Miles Sanders, Jordan Fuller, Shaq Thompson. Did have an exciting draft. They brought in Tetairoa McMillan, the highly touted Arizona wide receiver they took with the 8th pick. Brought in Nick Scorton, defensive end from Texas A&M. Princely Umanimielen.
Nailed
Is that
it.
right? I smashed these names, man. Mississippi defensive end. And they brought in brother of Travis Etienne, Trevor Etienne, has come from Georgia, running back. They took him in the 4th round. It's since Germany, I don't know what it is. I'm so invested in the Carolina Panthers. I really believe in Bryce Young. Since Germany last year, he turned such a corner, and they gave up on him so quick before Germany, and it was like he might start, might not. Don't know. Who's going to start. They started him, and then he just carried on that role. And yeah, they weren't fantastic the whole season. Neither was he. But it was the game. I think Dave Canales went, you know what, we've got something here. Even though it was a terrible game in Germany, but
yeah, I agree. And
it wasn't even in Frankfurt either. It was in Munich. I don't know what I'm even talking about.
It's because we had such a good time, Fred, in Frankfurt. When we think of Germany, that's what we think of. Despite that,
I legit was for a second was like, yeah, we did have a good time in Munich, and then remembered I was on my own the whole time.
Yeah, you weren't. You were Bryce Young.
Well, yeah, I did. We did party on. I did see him eating German kebab in a few days before the game.
That's been the turnaround. Dave Canales has done a Mourinho with like Lukaku. Go bulk yourself up, mate.
Yeah.
You
can't add height though, no matter how much German doner kebab you eat.
No, but if you have a few dodgy kebabs, you're jumping around in the pocket, aren't you? So he can see a bit higher. He's giving it over the lineman.
He's giving it the large end.
I think you said Tet McMillan is a dynamic target that he needs. Gives them, I don't know, like a DK Metcalf type run after the catchability. Adam's doing the eyebrow thing, but I don't know. I think that they're similar. Dave Canales, you know why I'm invested as well, Fred? Because he was the OC in Tampa, and then obviously he's become head coach, and then their OC is who was the wide receiver coach, Brad Idzik. So they've still got that continuity there, and I think it's a perfect time to develop not just Bryce Young, but Xavier Legette. There's Coca. And then they've got people like Phelan and Hunter Renfro who can teach those younger guys. And then the guy who I'm excited to see, and it is because he's on one of my dynasty rosters. He got a bad injury last year, but he was starting to emerge. Jatavion Sanders, the young tight end. Like, he was looking good. And I think he's the breakout player for them. And as we know, any young quarterback needs a reliable tight end. And if he can emerge, then it's just going to open this offense up, I think.
We are very, very, very bullish on the Carolina Panthers. I suspect Adam isn't.
No, I'm very bullish on the Carolina Panthers. I like a lot of what they've done. I think they've done very, very well, and I actually feel like they've got a chance of coming second in this division. They've really sorted out their main problem, which was the defense. The defense was ranked one of the worst against the pass and the run, and mainly it was because Derek Brown got hurt, and that was kind of the end of their defense. I think they've brought in a lot of top defensive players here. They've re-signed JC Horn and Michael Jackson at cornerback. They've actually got the most expensive inside defensive line rotation in the whole of the NFL. So, that says a lot. I think the McMillan pick, I wouldn't have DK Metcalf as his comp. I would probably go more Mike Evans because he actually goes up and gets the ball, whereas for DK Metcalf just runs quickly. I think they, again, with the defense where they had problems, edge rusher, they struggled with the pass rush. They've gone and got themselves 2 really good pass rushers in this draft in round 2 and 3. And in theory, the defense should improve a lot because of it. And I think that really does make a big difference for them. I think that them having a winning record in this division isn't out of the question. I really think they've got the ability to do that. They haven't got the worst schedule in the world. And I think, as you were saying, when it comes to Bryce Young, I think that something has clicked there. And actually, the one set of the one set of highlights of preseason games that I have watched was the Panthers against the Browns, because Andrew kept banging on at me about bloody watching Shedeur Sanders. So it's the one set of highlights that I have seen. And Young was out there for the first quarter with McMillan, and he looked so composed. And I know it was against the Browns and they're not very good, but just he was such a more composed quarterback compared to what we have seen in the past. And he had one throw up to McMillan, and it's the one thing they haven't been able to do. He literally just went up and caught it, and it's an out ball that he's not had before. And all of a sudden, there was space for other guys, and Jalen Coker's got a touchdown, and you've got Chuba Hubbard, who I think is an underrated running back in this league. And they're not going. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they are going to be amazing, but I do think that they have the potential to really improve a lot from that 5-12 of last year, and they've made a lot of good moves.
I think what I noticed a lot about all these 4-team schedules is that it's not a bad schedule for all 4 of them, really.
Yeah.
It's just, well, the Saints being what the Saints are, it's any schedule would be bad. They can play against an empty stadium. That team might lose. Spoiler alert for when we talk about Saints. But Carolina are one of them teams which I put in the category where they could have a losing record, and if they look like they're going in a direction, you'd be as a fan, you're happy. They could win. They could win 6 or 7 games, and I think you go, but look at what we're doing something here. You know, like we've talked about it in a couple of these episodes where the fine margin games, like Vikings a couple of years ago, couldn't do it. Then last year did it all the time. There's other teams last year that lost a lot of games by very close points. It wouldn't shock me if these guys do win like 6 games and there's 5 games out there that they lost by 6 or less.
Yeah, that's quite possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I really, I'd put good money on that, to be fair. They seem to have it coming together, and they've got their idea going. You know, they're getting more depth at wide receiver. Like you said, Chuba Hubbard's a good running back as well. What do we need to see from Bryce this year? Is it just a bit more maturity in the pocket, a little bit more composure, a little bit more, keeping his, moving around, using a little bit of his movement? What do we need to see?
Yeah, I think all of that makes sense. That's what you want to see. I think you've got to remember that it wasn't actually that many games where he had improved in that season. It kind of felt like he lost half of the season last year, and then all of a sudden it clicked. And for whatever reason, it's just taken him an extra season compared to what it does with quite a lot of quarterbacks when they first come in the league. So I think it is being able to sort of like come out of the pocket, use your legs, throw on the run sort of thing and stuff like that. That was what I saw just in that one quarter. That was what the touchdown was. He literally, he was in the pocket, he comes out, comes round, and then he throws it. And it's just that thing where it's like, he didn't panic. He wasn't sort of like worried about getting hit. It's like everything had slowed down and he just sort of knew how to do it. And I think that part of the reason why we all probably feel quite sort of, we want to see him succeed is because how much that first season just felt like a complete disaster. And that it was one of them things where everybody had written him off as if that was it. It was done. And so the fact that you're now starting to see these little steps, he's not the finished article by any stretch. And I think there's probably a limit with him. Like, I think you'll only get so much, but I think that he certainly has the potential to turn a 5-12 team into like a 8-9, 9-8, that kind of record. So, yeah, I think that's what you want to see from him, and it's just constantly progressing, isn't it?
Anything to add, Sky, about the Carolina team?
No, I'm just excited to see Young, like we said, with the weapons around him. He won't need to air it out every game, but I think he has the confidence now that he can feel like that he can do that. And again, if you're a Panthers fan, given what was it a couple of seasons ago, where it was like $1 a ticket, and there was that big thing on Twitter, and people weren't going to the games. That is an exciting time, and it just shows again the beauty of the NFL that we're now talking about them highly because, like you said, even between 6 and 12 months ago, I think everyone was sort of like, oh, the Panthers aren't going to get good for a while, but they've made a few nice moves coaching staff-wise and in the draft. So, yeah, good on them. And nice that, I guess it just leaves the Saints lonely, doesn't it, to be the awful team. I've sort of set us up for the switch over there. But, yeah, I'm glad that I'm in agreement with Adam that they probably can be pushing the Bucs the closest. I mean, I personally wouldn't commit to that, but I just think the division is open and the schedule's nice. So who knows what could happen?
I think what they could really do when I look in their roster is they could actually do with being like a top 10 draft pick next year, getting another superstar, and it being like, now we've got now we've got a quarterback that's settled, is looking good, and we've established our O-line, the receivers looking good, running backs looking good, we've got a fairly decent defense, and then just maybe like another a premium edge rusher or like a premium corner, and you go, all right, this is the team now. They've all got together, they've progressed, they've gone in the right way. They just need one more young, big talent that's going to be there for a while, that's in a key spot, like an edge rusher or a corner, I think. And then you go, right, this team's going now. And I think if they have that and if they progress that way, again, like we spoke about with, what team was it? The Patriots, sorry. A team where people suddenly go next offseason, they go, well, they've got something going on over there. Maybe I should go over there and find out what it's all about. Because I think Dave Canales can coach as well. I think he's got a good offensive brain. I think he's just putting it together. I'm hoping. I know David Tepper, their owner, is a bit of a savage. He cuts and gets rid of people here, left, right, and center. So I do hope, even if they did go for a losing record, I know it would upset him, but I think you've got to be looking at if there's the positives there, and I definitely think there is going to be.
I'm hearing two things, Fred. Somehow put Luke Kuechly in a time machine, bring him back healthy for the Panthers, and 2 years book it Patriots Panthers Super Bowl, and we'll win 32-29 again. Sorry, I can help myself.
You cannot help yourself in this podcast, can you? You cannot help yourself. Anything to get under the skin of your fellow colleagues. It's just terrible. Right, shall we do it then?
Do we have to?
Do we have to?
Kellen Moore, turn it off if you're listening.
Say again.
Kellen Moore, turn off the podcast if you're listening.
But make sure you like and subscribe. Wow. The New Orleans Saints, they re-signed Chase Young. They brought in Justin Reed. They re-signed Juwan Johnson. Brought back Brandon Cooks after originally being drafted there. Brought in Julian Blackman. Brought in Dylan Radunz. Bought in Cam Akers. Bought in Jonah Williams. I mean, not a terrible offseason by no stretch of the imagination. Paulson Adebo, they had to see go, though. He's gone to the New York Giants. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Will Harris. Willie Gay. Teno Passagnon has gone as well. They draft-wise, they had a lot of picks. They had 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 picks in the end. They took Kelvin Banks, the offensive lineman out of Texas, at 9. They took Tyler Shook, the quarterback from Louisville, in the second round, which was a lot of eyebrow raised about that pick at the time. Vernon Broughton, defensive tackle from Texas. I felt like Adam spoke quite a lot in that last half of the pod there, of the bit with the Panthers there. So I'm going to let Sky start with the Saints, and also you You made two stupid jokes this podcast, so you have to suffer. So
I've got to try to talk out the slaves. Well,
why is it all because the quarterback is the problem? You know, Derek Carr's now retired, had to really medically retire, to be honest with you, this season, which is now meaning that Tyler Shook or Spencer Rattler is going to be the starting quarterback. We saw a lot of Spencer Rattler last year, and it was terrible. Is it just because of the quarterback, or is it the team in totality?
I just think the team is awful. I mean, poor Chris Olave. I mean, I hope that he obviously can stay healthy, but I mean, Derek Carr stitched him up on a couple of hospital passes. And obviously he's such a great receiver, but I'm just, the way that we worry about Tua and we don't want to see injuries on anyone. It's kind of where I'm at with Chris Olave now. He's had a couple of bad concussions. I mean, they've got Brandon Cooks back. I don't know if they thought Drew Brees was going to come back as well. And Jimmy Graham and Michael Thomas might turn up for 2 games. But, yeah, he's back. And I love Brandon Cooks. But, yeah, there's just a lot of missing pieces on both sides of the ball. Now, I did try and be a good person, guys, and try and think of one positive, right? So, they got Kelvin Banks Jr., right? Left tackle. Fuaga can go to the right tackle now, his natural position. And they have got a nice thing there with 2 tackles. Not much going on elsewhere. But, it could happen. Although a lot of people do talk up the centre, McCoy, as well. So at least, look, I've created a positive. The O-line's got potential. But it just means if you can't run the ball and still can't throw it, I guess the O-line will just be blocking for ages. So, yeah, I don't know. And I do like Kellen Moore, when I've talked about the Cowboys in the past and what he did there as a coordinator. I just think that there's a lot of holes, and I was surprised he took the job. He clearly must have been told something that is not a given in modern coaching of sports, that he's got time. Why else would you have taken this job?
He's also brought in Brandon Staley, the former Chargers head coach, as defensive coordinator.
He looks like Barry Manilow. Sorry, I just always think that. He's got a bit of a puppet look.
Brandon Staley looks like Barry Manilow.
I won't start singing Copacabana. Like, in 30 years, look at Brandon Staley, it'll be Barry Manilow. If he did Tonight Matthew, I'm going to be, he could do Copacabana. And then the Saints would turn their season around.
I do feel bad because me and you, Sky, attended the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and we had a tremendous time. It's a good city, it's a fun place, and they deserve to have a good team. They do deserve to have a good team because it is that sort of iron pace. But I mean, I do look at their offense, Adam, and it is just a quarterback away. I do think it is. I think their O-line's pretty strong. I think there's some good weapons. Olave, Brandon Cooks at the tail end. I don't mind Rashid Shaheed. He's not bad. Juwan Johnson's a decent tight end. Alvin Kamara, he's getting paid too much, but he's a good running back. It is a little bit, they're all a little bit over the hill is the problem. And there's a fitness issue. They are constantly injured. But this offense feels like, and this is going to be the narrative all season, and fine, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon because I don't care about your opinion. I'm just a podcaster, all right? Feels like it's being set up for a future quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, that would make sense, yeah. But historically, I've completely forgotten the name of the GM. He's been there forever. What's his name? Mickey Loomis.
Good,
Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis.
Longer, but
Mickey Loomis doesn't understand how to do a rebuild. So this, when people say that the cap doesn't exist, this is what happens when you think the cap doesn't exist. You end up with a team that is just void of any real significant talent. Also, I would come out and say they have drafted appallingly over the years. They really have. Chris Olave is the talent at wide receiver, but he just keeps getting injured and he keeps getting concussions. And unfortunately, we spoke about this in another episode with Tua. It's a little bit like it's becoming a similar thing with Chris Olave. It could entirely happen again. Brandon Cooks, Rashid Shaheed, they're both kind of the same player, really. There's sort of speedsters. There's nothing else really when it comes to that. Yes, Alvin Kamara is good. The whole offense is going to go through Alvin Kamara again. And Sky is right in the respect of the O-line actually does look semi-logical now and kind of a bit decent, so it's not too bad. But yeah, I mean, the problem with that theory of this, it looks like a team that's looking to go and get a quarterback in the future. Why did you spend the second round pick on a quarterback then? And an older quarterback coming out of college who's had loads of injuries. It's just it's an odd thing to do. And I think it's that thing where they were just a little bit like, we have to pretend that we're trying. But it's such a strange one. And yeah, I think this whole team is just a team that desperately needs a rebuild. But I mean, if Mickey Loomis is actually going to do it, that's a whole nother thing, because he won't do it. It's like the whole thing with Derek Carr was ridiculous. And it's like that was your opportunity to start doing it before you even brought Derek Carr in. And they just keep going down the rabbit hole. And it's like they're not gonna it just feels like they're never gonna sort themselves out. And that's the problem. But yeah, desperately need a rebuild, desperately need a new quarterback. And I wouldn't be shocked if they end up having the number 1 pick this year or 2026.
So Manning will be back at Texas. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We've actually not really really spoke about what we're talking about, really, and that is the Arch Manning, part of the Manning family. Obviously, for new listeners, go check out Eli and Peyton Manning, legends of the game. For all the people who watch NFL all the time, you know who Arch Manning is, I'm sure. Quarterback at Texas. He can go back to college though. So if the Saints had the number one pick,
he will. I'll be surprised if he doesn't.
Because the only thing is everyone's saying is obviously his grandfather played for the Saints, didn't he? He was their star guy at one time, many years ago. So that's what everyone's really is thinking. But Arch is going to go in the draft. They're going to have number 1 pick. They're going to take Arch. And then it's going to roll from there. But yeah, that even when Arch gets there, they're in cap hell. And you know what? Cap hell's generous. There's if you got to cap hell and then kept digging for another 100 miles, that's where the Saints are with their cap. It is so bad, so poorly ran, and so ridiculous. Even last year when they gave Kamara that extension, everyone was looking around going, "What are you doing?" That was not clever. That was a stupid move. Kamara's a good player, but man, read the room around the league at the minute. People aren't paying running backs.
They don't have a choice. They almost have to keep going to a certain extent, because the problem is that if they literally just completely go, right, that's it, we're taking everyone out, they've got no team. Not of any quality. And although that might be in one way, that's a good thing to do, because then you end up getting first, number 1 picks and stuff like that. The problem is that you don't get bums on seats. So it's almost like it's that really difficult sort of situation that they're in, where they kind of a lot of this stuff needed to change really, it needed to change when Drew Brees retired. And even then, you could argue that they pushed that on longer than what they should have done. But because it's Drew Brees, I understand why you've done it. But once he retired, that was the point that they needed to change things. And they just haven't done it. And now they're going to experience the pain of that, because it's going to take years for them to get back to having a team that is going to be, they're going to have enough cap and space in order to be able to do anything and really sort this out. Because as you say, you bring in a brand new quarterback, they've still got all the same problems. They've just got a brand new quarterback. So it's Archie, as Manning has come out and said that Arch isn't going to come out this in 2026 for whoever. And I think that probably says quite a lot. That historically they've always done 3 years, all of the Mannings. So they're not going to suddenly change for this just because the Saints are at the bottom of the pile. So yeah, I think this is it. They're going to have to be really bad in 2027 as well if they want him. Which, to be honest, considering the situation they've put themselves in, wouldn't actually be a surprise if they were bad for the next 2 years.
Let's have a look at our predictions then for this division. So Saints are obviously, obviously bottom. Obviously bottom. Well, how many wins you got them, Sky?
4 and 13.
Would you agree, Adam?
I mean, yeah, 3 or 4. Like I said, I genuinely think they've got a good chance of having the number 1 pick next year. I think it's between them and the Browns, but I think the Browns, I don't know, they might surprise a few people with some games, but yeah, it's 3 or 4 for me.
I've got 4 and 13 as well. I've gone for that exact record as well. Who you got third then, Sky?
I've still got the Panthers. I like what they're doing, but I guess this is the perfect example. You compared it to the Patriots, which is accurate. I went, obviously, Patriots winning record, but 7 and 10 for the Panthers. I think a young team like that, 7 and 10 is a good record, good building blocks.
What do you reckon, Adam? Do you not reckon Falcons?
Yeah, unfortunately, as much as I love everything they've done, I do feel like they probably won't get as far as the Falcons, because I think the Falcons are starting at a much higher level. I think it'd be quite tight, so I'd probably say 8 and 9, something like that for the Panthers coming third, and then I'd probably say 9 and 8 for the Falcons.
I've got the Falcons at 9 and 8.
Yeah, I think it'd be close.
I've got 7 and 10 for the Falcons.
Okay, yeah.
I've got them third, and then I've got the Panthers at 8 and 9.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think they're going to be the 7 to 9 mark. That's what I'd like to see. And you actually, when you look at their schedule, I was looking at all their schedules earlier, and I was like, am I giving too many wins to the Falcons? Am I giving too many wins to the Panthers? The schedule's really good for this division this season. Like the Panthers, they're at Jacksonville, at Arizona to begin with. Then face the Falcons, at Patriots, host Miami and Dallas, at the Jets, host Buffalo, at the Packers, host the Saints, at the Falcons, at the 49ers, at the Rams, bye week at the Saints, and then host Tampa Bay, Seattle, then at Tampa Bay. Like, I think that's a pretty good schedule for someone. Like, it's a good schedule for the Falcons and Carolina. Like, for both of them and for Tampa, obviously. But Tampa, we see them as a division winner anyway. I'm just saying about for them guys, if they're going to be competing for the wild card spots, which is where they both want to be, I think the schedule is pretty good for them, to be honest.
Yeah. What have you got? Tampa's wins. Yeah, what have you got?
Tampa, I've got 10 and 7.
Did they come 10 and 7 last year?
Yeah,
I went 11 and 6. I just because to back and I think they've improved, but yeah.
Well, I think they say the schedule as well. It kind of is quite a nice one. So yeah, like 10, 11 win. I think they win it pretty comfortably though. Like I think they'll be in the lead quite early and they'll never be caught, kind of thing.
And who did you say, Fred? I think you said Tampa play. Was it Carolina last game?
Yeah.
And I think I put that 6th loss as like a resting players.
Yeah, I've done that with quite a lot. I had in the FC East, I had the Jets beating the Bills the last game of the season because I think the Bills will rest everybody and Jets will win that game. And so it's the same for the Bucs. I probably, if it wasn't for that, I'd probably say the Bucs would be 11 wins. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're going to be coasting. So I think it'll be fine for them to do that. So yeah, that's one not so great division out of the way. I hope you've all enjoyed the video. Thank you, Sky. Thank you, Adam, for watching. Make sure you check out all of our deep dive videos throughout the rest of August. We've got some out right now and more to come out for you. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and check out all of our stuff on social media. And make sure you give us a follow there as well. I hope you enjoyed the video and we'll see you all again very soon.